This is a story about life. Life can have multiple twists, turns, and obstacles. Life can sometimes be such a mix-up. It just depends on the cards that you are dealt. As you travel through life, you soon learn life transitions. Meet Bianca. Bianca is a nurse by day and a well-liked entertainer at night. As we follow Bianca and talk with her, you will learn one of the meanings of life transitions.
My name is BIANCA CHABLIS Balenciaga Extravaganza. It's a young individual was born in between two sexual genders that never fused into one gender. Once again, let me say it again. Two different sexual genders of male and female never fused in the birthing process to make one child. I ended up with bits and pieces and parts of male and female into which they never fused to make one. So I ended up with this androgynous type of outward look of life, for which it is called gender dysphoria, and they call it like homorphodite, orphodite. You know, it's so many different names, but I was just caught in the blending of two different sexes, and that's what led to my world of transitioning to being a woman. A lot of the decisions were made for me because medically nobody understood, and they still don't understand to this day with the transitions and all the high technology and the internet and all the information that you have there. They still don't have a clearer view of what you go through mentally in that type of sexual misfitting and sexual not blending of an actual person, because everybody in society comes up in the world identifying with either male or they identify with the female part. But being born in my type of transition, I was born in two parts. Like I said before, they never fused. It always had the ability and the characteristic of male and female. One never outshined the other, but that's the kind of thing that I had to go through, and people were trying to pick for me when I was younger what I should be. Should I be a boy or should I be a girl? Whichever one they felt, not my decision, until later on in life.
Growing from a child to a teenager, I was curious to know what obstacles she faced.
There weren't really obstacles, it was just dealing with the fact of who am I? What character do I play in society? Do I play the male role as society is putting in place for me? Or do I play the female role of a sexual characteristic of what I felt I should be? You have society saying you should be this guy, but then you have me and my own internal feelings. I feel that I should be the woman that I am, and that also led me on the road to transitioning to being who I am now today. Hey, that pretty red hair. Smile. Ladies smile all the time. Okay?
We got it.
High five. All right, that's me. I'm a people person. Everywhere I go, I could just meet anybody, any person, and strike up a conversation and just say, hello, hi, how you doing? As growing up as a teenager, my characteristics of the sexual gender conformity of my life, it didn't lead into a male background. It led very feminine. I never grew any facial hair. I never grew any mustaches. My hands never grew. My feet was everything was always a female characteristic. But then I had this outward shell that was a male that I didn't know what to do with, because internally and in my heart I felt female. So that's where society felt like, well, okay, then you're born a male, but necessarily you have to live a male life. Even though you have female characteristics, you gotta hide that. So that led me into where I was dealing in the male world, growing up young and being forced to play sports, because in those days there weren't video games and all of the Nintendos and X stations. None of that existed. It was all about what you can do up in here and what you can mentally create yourself. So most of my life was creating something to keep the pain pushed down from what society wanted to push on me, to keep me from being strong, to keep me from having mental issues to where I doubted myself, or to the point where some of my friends have committed suicide, did drugs or drink or did anything to suppress or hide what they really felt in the inside. I did different. I have a thing called the Presidential Choice Physical Fitness Award. It was given to me in 1985. You can look it up with the United States Physical Fitness President Reagan. Flint Northern Vikings 1985 Presidential Physical Fitness Champion, Ronald Reagan Award. So I got the highest percentile as a male, but I was a transgender completing the task. And that's where I started saying I could do anything that I put my mind to. I never stopped being who I felt internally, and don't ever stop being that way. I always felt feminine. I always felt I was caught up in a shell that needed to be opened. So I didn't hide it, but those were the laws as far as not letting anybody know what your sexual preference was, and that you went into a gay bar in the middle of the night and went to church the next day. It just wasn't heard of. I got experience to people like Lady Divine, Lady CHABLIS, legendary people from way back in the day, Aretha, Melba Moore from Detroit. And then I started getting excited about the entertainment part of that. You can actually be who you are as a so-called male, and that you could also dress yourself up and become an entertainer and a female on stage, and people liked it. They adored it. You got adulation from it. It wasn't, crime wasn't involved, and you made people happy with making yourself happy, because you ended up creating this illusion on stage that you could only have to do for 5 to 7 minutes, but it was an illusion that stuck with you for life, and it was illusion jumping out the criteria of the nitpicking of you can't do this and you can't do that, and boys don't wear makeup and boys don't wear lipstick. So that's where the entertainment part come in as far as on the stage. I started being an entertainer at 16. 16. My very first show was in 1982. Yeah, 1982. That was my very first show. But you gotta remember, I was underage. You had to be 18 to get in the bars then. I was 15. But I was so well developed in this genre that I am. I always looked older at that time for my age. Now I look younger for my age, because I'll be 51 soon. So it's a whole different chain. So I got so much out of it. I got so much fun and adulation from those people, and I actually made a lot of people happy, because at that time it was the big era of HIV. People were dying of AIDS and they didn't know what AIDS was. They thought it was from a monkey on a boat from somewhere, but I started losing friends, and that's where the world started getting scary, because that was the first time we heard of HIV in this world. And I grew up at a time where I watched friends die like flies and didn't know why. So it kind of scared me in my world of, is this is the way you're supposed to live? Is this how life gonna be? Is this some kind of curse or anything? Is this what society do to you? So I kind of closed down and just mainly focused on trying to go to work, and then work started happening with the summer program. And that exposed me to a lot of theaters, a lot of museum, a lot of Congress people, a lot of presidential things, and a lot of stuff like that happened in those eras because they were giving things for kids to do. Today they just sit with a remote control, an iPad, a Galaxy 8, whatever the phone. I didn't have that. I just had sticks and glue and rocks and trees and anything dealing with nature to make my life go and understand nature. So they always said I couldn't do. They always said I couldn't do. My goal was for my grandparents and my mom and my mother's brothers and sisters that you could be anything you want to be. You just put your mind to it, get an education, speak properly, treat people with their amount of respect, and you can be the best at whatever you put your mind to. And I have been that way in all the 50-some years of my life, to never give up because people say you can't do.
And Bianca, she never gave up. As of August 2018, she has completed her gender reassignment surgery, which has made her anatomically correct a female. She plans on continuing to entertain in the LGBTQ community because it's there where she first found love, respect, and the strength to go through this life transition.